First contact and dismissal. The UES Defiant cut through the darkness of space like a knife, its sleek hull reflecting distant starlight as it patrolled the outer reaches of the Sol system. Captain Eliza Winters stood on the bridge, her tall frame silhouetted against the vast observation window. Jupiter loomed large in the distance, its swirling storms a reminder of the chaotic beauty of their solar system. "Status report, Lieutenant Rodriguez," Winters called, her voice carrying the weight of 15 years in the Earth Defense Force. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're on schedule for the Europa checkpoint in 43 minutes, Rodriguez replied, her fingers dancing across the holographic display. Winters nodded, satisfied. The Defiant represented humanity's most advanced warship, a marvel of engineering that had taken decades to perfect. Yet despite its impressive specifications, it remained untested in actual combat. Humanity had yet to encounter other intelligent life among the stars, though not for lack of searching. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual gravitational fluctuations at bearing 47 Mark 192, announced Lieutenant Commander Harada, the ship's science officer. His usually calm demeanor showed a hint of excitement. "Natural phenomenon?" Winters asked, already moving toward his station. "Negative, the patterns are too regular, and there's something else." Harada paused, recalibrating his instruments. "Energy signatures unlike anything in our database." Winters felt a chill run down her spine. "Battle stations, inform command immediately." The bridge transformed in seconds, relaxed vigilance giving way to practiced efficiency as officers rushed to their positions. First contact protocols had been established decades ago, but had never been implemented. Until now. "Contact emerging from what appears to be a spatial distortion," Harada reported, his voice steady despite the implications. "Multiple contacts. I count 7 distinct vessels. Configuration unknown." The main viewscreen shifted to show a cluster of ships emerging from what looked like a tier in space itself. Unlike the utilitarian design of Earth vessels, these ships were elegant, almost organic in appearance, with sweeping curves and iridescent hulls that seemed to shift color with each movement. "They're massive," whispered Commander Ockafer, Winters' executive officer. "The largest one must be at least 3 kilometers in length." Before Winters could respond, Lieutenant Rodriguez called out, "Captain, we're being hailed." The bridge fell silent. First contact, humanity's introduction to the galactic community, was about to happen on her watch. "Open channel," Winters ordered, straightening her uniform, "and activate first contact protocols." The viewscreen flickered, revealing a being that was undeniably alien yet disturbingly humanoid. It, or rather, he, judging by the deep resonance of his voice, had pale blue skin covered in subtle patterns that seemed to pulse with an inner light. 4 amber eyes regarded them with what Winters could only interpret as cool assessment. "Vessel of unknown origin," the alien spoke, his words perfectly translated by the ship's AI. "You have entered territory claimed by the Vexari Dominion. Identify yourselves and state your purpose." Winters stepped forward, maintaining the calm confidence that had earned her command of Earth's flagship. "I am Captain Eliza Winters of the United Earth ship Defiant. We are on patrol within our own solar system, and we're unaware of any territorial claims. On behalf of humanity, I extend peaceful greetings." The alien's upper eyes narrowed slightly. "I am High Commander Zareth of the Vexari Dominion. Your solar system, as you call it, borders an expansion zone of interest to us. Your presence has been noted, though not previously considered significant." Winters carefully processed this information. "We would welcome the opportunity to establish diplomatic relations with the Vexari Dominion, perhaps an exchange of representatives." "That will not be necessary at this time," Zareth interrupted. "However, as you appear to possess adequate technology for communication, we will grant you the honor of formal notification. The Vexari Dominion will be establishing outposts within what you call the Kuiper Belt. This is merely a courtesy, not a request for permission." Commander Ockafer stepped closer to Winters, whispering, "They're claiming our territory without negotiation." Winters nodded slightly, keeping her expression neutral. High Commander Zareth, the Kuiper Belt is recognized as part of the Sol system under Earth jurisdiction. We would need to discuss any settlement plans through proper diplomatic channels. For the first time, Zareth's expression showed a recognizable emotion, amusement. Captain Winters, perhaps I haven't made myself clear. The Vexari Dominion has over 300 years of interstellar expansion. We have encountered 17 spacefaring species and incorporated their territories into our own. This notification is merely a formality before we begin operations. 300 years, Lieutenant Rodriguez whispered. We've barely managed interplanetary travel in that time. Zareth continued. Your vessel appears to be a military design, though primitive by our standards. Do you represent Earth's defensive capabilities? The Defiant is one of our patrol vessels, Winters replied carefully, unwilling to reveal too much. Earth is well protected. A sound emerged from Zareth that the translator identified as laughter. Captain, our scanners have already assessed your vessel's capabilities. Your primary weapons are fusion-based projectiles and rudimentary energy beams. Your defenses consist of layered alloys and magnetic shields. By Vexari standards, you are operating technology that would be considered obsolete by several millennia. The bridge crew exchanged uncomfortable glances. Earth's military had always prided itself on innovation, but they had no frame of reference for comparing their technology to that of an established interstellar civilization. High Commander, Winters said, maintaining her composure, technological advancement isn't the only measure of a species' capabilities. Humanity has overcome numerous challenges throughout our history. Yes, Zareth interrupted dismissively. All species say the same when confronted with their inadequacies. It is of no concern to us. A delegation will arrive at your planet in 7 of your days to establish formal terms for our presence in your system. I suggest you prepare your leaders. The communication ended abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Orders, Captain? Okefer asked quietly. Winters took a deep breath. Maintain position, but keep weapons systems powered down. We don't want to appear threatening. Lieutenant Rodriguez, establish a secure channel to Earth Command. Commander Harada, I want everything we can learn about their ships from passive scans. As her crew moved with renewed purpose, Winters stared at the alien vessels. 7 days to prepare for a diplomatic meeting that didn't sound very diplomatic at all. Admiral Tobias Harrison paced the length of the conference room in Earth Defense Force headquarters, his weathered face set in grim lines as he processed the report from the Defiant. They just declared they're moving into our solar system, General Vivian Nguyen asked, her normally unflappable demeanor showing signs of strain. Without negotiation. According to Captain Winters, they view it as a courtesy to inform us at all, Harrison replied. The Vexari delegation will arrive in 6 days now. Dr. Marcus Okonkwo, Earth's foremost xenologist, leaned forward. This matches historical patterns of colonial powers encountering less technologically advanced societies. They don't see us as equals. We should demonstrate our strength, suggested General Zhou, head of the Asian Alliance Military Command. Show these Vexari that humanity won't be easily conquered. Harrison shook his head. Based on the Defiant scans, we would be outmatched. Their ships possess energy readings that surpass our most advanced reactors by factors of hundreds. Their hull materials include elements not even on our periodic table. So we just surrender our sovereignty? Nguyen demanded. No, Harrison said firmly, but we need to be strategic. Dr. Khatri, what's the status of Project Prometheus? Dr. Anya Khatri, director of the EDF's Advanced Weapons Division, hesitated before responding. The prototype is functional but untested outside laboratory conditions. We would need at least 3 months for field trials. We have 6 days, Harrison reminded her. Khatri nodded reluctantly. I'll assemble my team immediately. The meeting continued for hours as Earth's leadership grappled with their sudden introduction to galactic politics in which they appeared to be severely disadvantaged. 5 days later, Captain Winters found herself aboard a diplomatic shuttle approaching a massive Vexari vessel positioned in lunar orbit. The sleek alien craft dwarfed humanity's lunar colonies, its presence a constant reminder of the technological gap between the two species. "Remember the protocol," Ambassador Wei Liu reminded her quietly. "We are here to establish relations, not to provoke them." Winters nodded, though her military training made her acutely aware of their vulnerability. Accompanying them were Dr. Khatri, whose expertise might help them understand Vexari technology, and Commander Okafor, whose security background made him valuable for assessing potential threats. The shuttle docked with surprising ease, the Vexari systems apparently compatible with human technology, or more likely, adapting to it. They were met by Vexari officials dressed in flowing garments that seemed to shift in color and texture, much like their ships. "Welcome aboard the Celestial Dominance," announced a Vexari who introduced himself as Diplomatic Overseer Thelax. "High Commander Zareth awaits your arrival." The unexpected response. The vast underground facility beneath the Atacama Desert hummed with activity as scientists and military personnel worked with silent intensity. 3 kilometers beneath Earth's surface, hidden from Vexari sensors, Project Mastiff had entered its final phase. Admiral Harrison stood at the center of the command hub, surrounded by holographic displays showing deployment statuses from around the world. His steely gaze tracked the movement of the Vexari ships now establishing positions throughout the Kuiper belt. "Time remaining until Operation Mastiff is fully operational?" he asked, his voice carrying across the room. Colonel Dacia Blackwell, the operations tactical coordinator, consulted her terminal. 16 hours, sir. All planetary defense nodes are at 82% readiness. Orbital assets are in position but maintaining passive status to avoid detection." Harrison nodded, turning his attention to a separate display where Dr. Khatri supervised final adjustments to what appeared to be a small, unremarkable satellite. "Dr. Khatri, status of the Achilles prototype." The physicist looked up, dark circles under her eyes testament to days without proper rest. "Final calibrations complete, Admiral, though I must again emphasize that we're deploying technology that hasn't undergone proper field testing." "Noted, Doctor," Harrison replied, "but as you've witnessed firsthand, the Vexari have left us little choice." The Admiral's gaze shifted to another section of the command center, where Captain Winters was engaged in intense discussion with an alien figure whose appearance differed markedly from the Vexari. Where the Vexari were tall with blue skin and 4 eyes, this being was compact with mottled green-gray skin and a ridge of sensory organs running from the crown of its head down its spine. "How's our guest doing?" Harrison asked, approaching the pair. "Admiral," Winters acknowledged with a nod. "Ambassador Krevnar has been providing invaluable insights into Vexari shield harmonics." The alien, a refugee from a species called the Kelthorans, inclined his head respectfully. "Your plan is bold, Admiral Harrison. In 3 centuries, no species has successfully repelled a Vexari expansion." "Well," Harrison replied with grim determination, "there's a first time for everything." The Kelthoran had arrived on Earth 6 months earlier in a damaged scout ship, seeking asylum. Initial suspicion had given way to cooperation when the Kelthorans revealed they were fleeing Vexari expansion in their own system. Their advanced technology and knowledge of Vexari capabilities had accelerated Earth's defensive preparations significantly. "Sir," Colonel Blackwell called, her voice tense, "we're detecting energy signatures consistent with large-scale mining operations in the Kuiper belt. The Vexari have begun resource extraction." Harrison's jaw tightened. "They're not wasting any time. What about the ultimatum timeline?" "We still have 38 hours before their deadline for Earth's formal acknowledgement of their territorial claims," Blackwell confirmed. "Then we maintain schedule," Harrison decided. "All units continue preparations. We strike exactly 1 hour before their deadline expires." As the command center staff returned to their duties with renewed focus, Harrison drew Winters and Krevnar aside. Captain, you'll command the spaceborne element of our response. The UES Defiant will serve as our flagship. Winters straightened. Yes, sir, the crew is ready. Harrison turned to the Kelthoran. Ambassador Krevnar, I know your people have policy against direct military involvement. These are extraordinary circumstances, Admiral, the alien interrupted. The two Kelthoran vessels we have will join Captain Winter's fleet. My people have suffered enough under Vexari expansion. We will fight alongside humanity. The Admiral nodded gratefully. Dr. Khatri will deploy with you as well. She's the only one who fully understands the Achilles device's operation. As they dispersed to their assignments, Harrison returned to the central display, studying the positions of the Vexari ships. Humanity had one chance, one unexpected response to the Vexari's arrogant dismissal of Earth's capabilities. It would have to be enough. Aboard the Vexari command vessel, the Celestial Dominance, High Commander Zareth reviewed the progress reports from the initial mining operations with satisfaction. The energy-rich exotic matter found in the primitive system's outer bodies would fuel Vexari expansion for decades. Science Director Malvik, what is the status of the geological survey of the planet they call Mars? He inquired. Malvik consulted his data screen. Preliminary scans indicate significant deposits of rare minerals in the northern hemisphere. Once the humans accept our terms, we can begin operations there immediately. And if they don't accept our terms? Asked Security Overseer Vex, who had remained skeptical of Zareth's approach. Then we provide a small demonstration, Zareth replied dismissively. Their military capabilities are negligible. Our assessment shows they possess no weapons that could penetrate even our scout vessel's shields. They have been surprisingly quiet, Vex noted, mandibles clicking in what the others recognized as concern. No diplomatic communications, no military posturing. It's unusual. They are processing the inevitability of their situation, Zareth said confidently. Their historical records show they are capable of reason. They will accept our presence rather than face annihilation. Commander, interrupted a communications officer, we're detecting unusual energy fluctuations from Earth's lunar installations. Zareth frowned. Clarify. Unknown signature, sir. It appears they are powering up previously dormant facilities on the far side of their moon. Scan them, Zareth ordered, a flicker of unease crossing his features. Science Director Malvik immediately directed the ship's sensors toward the lunar surface. The readings are confusing, Commander. They appear to be standard fusion reactors, but the energy pattern is unlike anything in our database. A primitive attempt at deception, Zareth concluded after a moment's consideration. Monitor the situation, but continue operations as planned. They likely hope to create the illusion of unknown technology. Security Overseer Vex wasn't convinced. Commander, request permission to deploy additional security vessels to monitor Earth directly. Unnecessary, Zareth replied sharply. Their most advanced weapons were designed to destroy only themselves. Against us, they are harmless. As the bridge crew returned to their duties, Zareth gazed at the holographic representation of the Sol system. Soon another territory would join the Vexari Dominion. Another primitive species would learn their place in the galactic hierarchy, and his name would receive another commendation in the eternal archives. Captain Winters stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, surveying her crew with pride. Every officer had volunteered for this mission despite knowing the odds they faced. All systems ready, Captain, Commander Okafor reported. The fleet is in position and awaiting your command. Winters nodded, turning to Dr. Khatri, who sat at a specially configured station. Doctor, status of the Achilles device. Final diagnostic complete, Khatri replied, her fingers dancing across the controls. The quantum entanglement matrix is stable. If the Kelthoran calculations are correct, the device will perform as intended. And if they're not, Okafor asked quietly. Khatri met his gaze evenly. Then we'll learn something valuable in our final moments. Comforting, Winters remarked dryly. Ambassador Krevnar, are your vessels prepared? The Kelthoran, who had taken position at an auxiliary communications station, nodded his ridged head. "Yes, Captain. My people are ready to fulfill their role in your plan." Winters took a deep breath and opened a channel to the entire fleet, a cobbled-together force of Earth's 37 military vessels and 2 Kelthoran ships. "This is Captain Winters. In 1 hour, we execute Operation Mastiff against an enemy that believes us incapable of meaningful resistance." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "Throughout human history, we have faced overwhelming odds and prevailed through ingenuity, courage, and the simple refusal to surrender what is ours. Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for the right of all species to determine their own destiny." She closed the channel and turned to her bridge crew. "Begin the approach. Maintain emissions control protocols until we reach phase line Alpha." As the Earth vessels moved silently toward their targets, powered down to minimize detection, Dr. Khatri approached Winters. "Captain, there's something you should know about the Achilles device," she said quietly. "Its effects may be more extensive than we initially briefed." Winters raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "The quantum disruption field doesn't just target their shields. Based on Kelthoran data about Vexari technology, it may affect all their systems that utilize quantum manipulation, which includes their weapons, propulsion, and possibly life support." "You're saying it could disable them completely?" Khatri nodded grimly. "Or worse, we simply don't know. This technology merges human quantum theory with Kelthoran practical applications. The result is unpredictable." "To protect Earth," Khatri replied without hesitation. "Yes, but everyone should understand what we're about to do." "Noted," Winters said, turning back to the view screen where the distant shapes of Vexari mining vessels were now visible. "Some lines, once crossed, can never be uncrossed, but they left us no choice." In Earth Defense Force headquarters, Admiral Harrison watched as the fleet approached its targets. Beside him, Colonel Blackwell coordinated the planetary defense systems that would activate simultaneously with the fleet attack. "Sir, Ground Team Epsilon reports the Antarctic array is experiencing power fluctuations," she reported. "They're working to stabilize it now." Harrison frowned. "That array is crucial for the Southern Hemisphere defense grid. Tell them they have 20 minutes to resolve the issue." "Yes, sir." Blackwell paused, then added more quietly, "Admiral, if this doesn't work." "It will work, Colonel," Harrison interrupted firmly. "It has to." On the main display, the Earth fleet had reached phase line Alpha, the point of no return. Harrison opened a secure channel to Captain Winters. "Defiant, this is command. You are authorized to proceed with Operation Mastiff. Good hunting." Winters' voice came back clear and determined. "Acknowledged, command, beginning phase 1 now." Aboard the Celestial Dominance, alarms suddenly blared as sensors detected the approaching Earth vessels. "Commander," the tactical officer called out, "human vessels approaching our mining operations at high speed." Zareth rose from his command chair, surprised but not concerned. "Interesting. They've chosen defiance. Deploy interceptors and destroy them." "Sir," Security Overseer Vex interjected, "their approach pattern is unusual. They're maintaining tight formation despite their technological limitations." "Irrelevant," Zareth dismissed. "A primitive species using primitive tactics." On the tactical display, 12 Vexari interceptors launched from the mining vessels, sleek predators moving to engage the human fleet. "Human vessels are powering up weapons systems," reported the tactical officer. "Energy readings consistent with our previous scans. No significant threat detected." Zareth watched with mild curiosity as the human vessels continued their approach, making no attempt to evade the interceptors. "They must be attempting some form of martyrdom," he mused. "A final, futile gesture." Suddenly, the sensor officer called out in confusion. "Commander, detecting unusual energy signature from the lead human vessel. Pattern unknown." "What?" Zareth demanded, moving to the sensor station. Before the officer could respond, the display showing the Vexari interceptors flickered. One by one, the interceptor signals destabilized, their formation breaking apart. Interceptors reporting shield failures across all vessels, the communications officer announced, voice rising in alarm. They're reporting weapons systems failure as well. Zareth stared in disbelief as the supposedly primitive human vessels opened fire on his now vulnerable interceptors. Energy beams lanced out, striking with precision that should have been impossible for their technology level. Impossible, breathed Science Director Malvik. Their weapons' energy signatures have completely changed. Security Overseer Vex turned to Zareth, mandibles flaring in distress. Commander, we're detecting similar energy signatures activating around the inner planets and on the planetary surface. On the display, the unthinkable unfolded. 3 Vexari interceptors exploded in rapid succession. The others, crippled and defenseless, drifted helplessly as the Earth fleet pushed past them toward the mining vessels. The human vessels are broadcasting a message on all frequencies, the communications officer reported. Play it, Zareth ordered, his confidence shattered. Captain Winter's voice filled the bridge. Attention Vexari vessels, this is Captain Eliza Winters of the United Earth ship Defiant. You have entered territory under Earth protection without permission. Your shields have been neutralized by our Achilles system. Your weapons are ineffective. You will power down all systems and prepare to be boarded, or we will continue our attack. You have 5 minutes to comply. Stunned silence fell over the Vexari bridge. How, Malvik whispered. Their technology was centuries behind ours. Zareth's 4 eyes narrowed as the truth dawned on him. They concealed their true capabilities. Security Overseer, deploy the main fleet immediately. Too late, Commander, Vex replied grimly. Look. The tactical display updated to show energy signatures activating across the Sol system. Hundreds of them, from orbital platforms, lunar bases, and installations on Earth's surface. Each emitted the same disruptive field that had neutralized the interceptors. We've been scanning their technology for months, Malvik protested. There was no indication. They showed us what they wanted us to see, Zareth realized, his arrogance giving way to dread. And we believed it. On the display, the Vexari mining vessels were now under direct attack, their advanced shields useless against whatever technology the humans had deployed. 2 had already gone dark, their systems completely offline. Commander, our own shields are fluctuating, reported the tactical officer. The effect appears to be spreading throughout the system. Zareth made the only decision he could. Send the surrender signal. Order all Vexari vessels to power down non-essential systems immediately. As the order was transmitted, Zareth stared at the image of Earth on the display. The supposedly primitive planet had just delivered a lesson in the danger of underestimation, one the Vexari Dominion would not soon forget. 2 days later, Captain Winters stood in the observation lounge of the UES Defiant, watching as Vexari vessels departed the solar system under escort. Beside her, Dr. Khatri monitored readings from the Achilles device that had turned the tide of battle. The quantum disruption effect is maintaining stability, Khatri reported. Their ships will remain vulnerable until they exit the heliosphere. And the technology itself, Winters asked. Already being adapted for permanent defense installations throughout the system, Khatri replied. The Kelthoran engineers believe we can create a permanent quantum barrier that would make any future Vexari incursion impossible. Ambassador Krevnar entered the lounge, his posture conveying satisfaction despite his alien physiology. Captain Winters, I bring news from my government. The Kelthoran Conclave has voted unanimously to establish formal alliance with Earth. Your victory over the Vexari has altered the political landscape of this sector significantly. We couldn't have done it without your people's knowledge, Winters acknowledged. Perhaps, Krevnar conceded, but it was human innovation that transformed theoretical vulnerabilities into a decisive weapon. In all our years resisting the Vexari, my people never conceived of your approach. The doors slid open again as Admiral Harrison entered. All present came to attention, but he waved them at ease. At ease, I've just come from the final negotiation with High Commander Zareth, Harrison announced. The terms of the Vexari withdrawal have been formalized. They will remove all presence from the Sol system and acknowledge Earth's sovereignty over the entire heliosphere. Did they offer any explanation for their initial assessment of our capabilities? Khatri asked. Their arrogance was their undoing, Winters observed. They saw what they expected to see, a technologically inferior civilization that would bow to superior force. A mistake they won't make again, Harrison agreed. But neither will anyone else who might consider Earth an easy target. The quantum disruption technology has already been noticed by other spacefaring species. 3 diplomatic delegations are en route to Earth now, seeking alliance rather than conquest. Krevnar made a gesture that his human companions had learned indicated approval. The balance of power shifts. Where the Vexari once expanded unopposed, now they must contend with a new force, humanity. Through the viewport, the final Vexari vessel shrank to a distant point of light, limping away from the system it had entered with such confidence. Earth had not only survived its first contact with a hostile alien power, but had emerged stronger, wiser, and with a newfound respect among the stars. What happens now? Dr. Khatri asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. Admiral Harrison looked out at the stars, no longer just distant points of light, but potential allies, adversaries, and frontiers. Now, he said, humanity takes its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors like the Vexari, but as defenders, protectors of our home and allies to those who share our values. Captain Winters nodded, watching as the last Vexari ship disappeared from view. They laughed at our firepower, she said quietly, until they learned the truth. A lesson the galaxy won't soon forget, Harrison agreed. As Earth's defenders contemplated the future, millions of kilometers away, High Commander Zareth stood on the bridge of his crippled flagship, staring at the receding image of the Sol system. The defeat weighed heavily upon him, but so too did a growing realization. The universe had just become a more dangerous place, not because humanity possessed unexpected technology, but because they had demonstrated something far more valuable: the ability to appear weak when they were strong, to innovate when faced with impossible odds, and to unite against a common threat. For the first time in 3 centuries of expansion, the Vexari Dominion had encountered a species that not only resisted them, but decisively defeated them. As his ship limped toward Vexari space, Zareth knew that the report he would deliver would forever change how the Dominion viewed the primitive species called humans. They were not primitive at all. They were something far more dangerous, unpredictable,